Hey there, treasure hunters. Have you ever checked the change jingling around in your pocket and thought, man, just a bunch of quarters? Well, hold on to your seats because one of those quarters could actually be worth $1 million. That's right. Today, we're talking about the 2015 Mint Mark Blue Ridge Parkway $quarter coin. If you think coins are just dusty old collectibles your grandma kept in a cookie tin, think again. Some of these little beauties could pay off your mortgage, buy you a fancy sports car, or bankroll the vacation of a lifetime. So grab your magnifying glass, maybe a cup of coffee, and stick around because by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly why this quarter is worth such a jaw-dropping sum. Alright, let's start with the basics. The 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway quarter was minted in Denver. That's what the little D mark stands for. This coin was part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program, which ran from 2010 through 2021. A stunning curved road hugging the side of North Carolina's gorgeous Blue Ridge Mountains, with the grace and detail that can make even the most casual collector stop and say, dang, that's pretty. Well, it comes down to a combination of rarity, condition, and die errors. In fact, the specific $1 million examples were found in pristine condition, known as MS68 and above, that means mint state, nearly flawless. And a few have die cracks and doubled images on the reverse that make them incredibly scarce. Think about it, finding a quarter like that is like finding a unicorn in your laundry basket. Out of the millions minted, only a tiny handful were preserved in perfect condition. Most ended up rolling around in cash registers, getting scratched up in vending machines, or sitting under couch cushions. These are the folks who look at coins under powerful microscopes, have only certified a few examples in the highest grades. Those are the ones selling for enormous sums at auctions. Just last year, one of these Blue Ridge Parkway quarters in near perfect grade sold for around $1 million. If that doesn't make you want to dump out your piggy bank right this second, I don't know what will. You want that shiny, clean look like it just popped off the press. No scratches, stains, or fingerprints. Some of the highest valued coins have doubling or die cracks. It's when the design looks blurry or doubled in places. Luster, the shine on these coins can make or break the value. A strong, well-centered strike without weak spots. A couple of years ago, I was cleaning out my old junk drawer, the one with dead batteries, rubber bands, and a broken phone charger you swear you'll fix someday. I found a pile of quarters I'd tossed in there over the years. On a whim, I looked them up online. One of them turned out to be a West Virginia quarter worth about $50. Not life-changing money, but enough to buy a nice steak dinner. Ever since then, I've been obsessed. I started checking every quarter I get, from the gas station to the grocery store. And I'm telling you, it becomes a bit of a thrill, like playing the lottery but without spending any money. You never know when the next $1 million coin is going to drop into your hand. Alright, let's say you hit the jackpot and find a high-grade 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway quarter. What next? eBay is great, but make sure you get the coin professionally graded first, or buyers won't take you seriously. These conventions attract serious collectors with deep pockets. Certified dealers can help you understand what your coin is worth. Never clean your coin. Scrubbing it with toothpaste or soap can take thousands of dollars off the value. Yes, even the ones you get back as change buying a soda. This is called coin roll hunting. You'd be amazed at what people accidentally deposit. Sometimes people sell jars of coins without realizing what's inside. Errors are tiny and easy to miss. If you find something special, note when and where. Minor scratches can lower the value, but if it's an error coin, it could still be worth a lot. It usually costs $30 to $75 per coin. If you think your quarter could be worth thousands, it's absolutely worth it. Compare yours to high-resolution photos from PCGS or NGC websites, and look for doubling or die cracks. Some people think coin collecting is boring or nerdy. But here's the truth, coins are little pieces of history. A kid buying candy, a mom paying for groceries, a traveler filling up the gas tank, and now, it's sitting in your palm, possibly worth enough to change your life. When you see it that way, hunting for these special coins isn't just about the money. It's about connection, curiosity, and the thrill of the hunt. The 2015 Blue Ridge Parkway quarter can be worth up to $1 million in top condition. Look for pristine surfaces, strong strikes, and especially error varieties. Get professional grading if you think you have a winner. Alright folks, that's it for today's deep dive into the 2015 Mint Mark Blue Ridge Parkway quarter. Next time you grab some change, I hope you look at it a little differently. Because maybe, just maybe, your ticket to financial freedom is sitting right there in your pocket. If you enjoyed this video and you're serious about learning how to spot coins worth real money, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. I've got tons more tips, strategies, and stories that can help you uncover hidden treasures in your everyday life. Hit that subscribe button, tap the notification bell so you don't miss out, and drop a comment telling me if you've ever found a valuable coin. Hey there, coin hunters and accidental millionaires in the making, let me ask you something. Have you ever dug around in your car's cup holder or fished through your old change jar and thought, it's just a quarter? Well, hold on to your socks, because that just a quarter could be worth $1.1 million today. Yes, you heard that right, $1.1 million for a single 2014 Everglades $quarter coin with the little P mint mark. If you're thinking, oh come on, that sounds crazier than my Uncle Bill's conspiracy theories about squirrels running the government, you're not alone. But stick with me, because today I'm going to break down why this coin is so valuable, what makes it special, and how you could be sitting on a jackpot without even knowing it. In this video, we're going to dive deep into the story of the Everglades quarter, learn what to look for, and by the end, you'll never look at loose change the same way again. Grab your coffee, pull up a comfy chair, and let's get into it. Alright, let's kick this off with some background. The Everglades National Park Quarter was released in 2014 as part of the America the Beautiful Quarters program. You might recognize the design. It's got a long-legged wading bird and an anhinga with its wings stretched out, probably thinking, look at me, I'm majestic. The P mint mark means it was minted in Philadelphia. Most quarters you see from 2014 are only worth 25 cents, but every so often, the US Mint slips up, and when they do, collectors go bananas. We're talking about things like double dies, where the design looks slightly doubled. Off-center strikes, where the coin is stamped way out of alignment. Die cracks, which create raised lines across the design. Missing clad layers, which leave the copper core exposed. If your Everglades quarter has any of these features in pristine, uncirculated condition, you've got a potential goldmine on your hands. Imagine buying a soda, getting one of these by accident, and tossing it in a tip jar. I'd personally have to lie down and take deep breaths if I found out later. Coin collectors are an enthusiastic bunch. They will pay extraordinary amounts to complete their collections, especially when there are so few high-grade examples out there. According to auction records and numismatic reports, the finest known error examples of the 2014 P Everglades quarter have crossed the $1 million mark at major coin auctions. This isn't hearsay, it's documented. Some collectors are willing to pay luxury home prices for a little circle of metal smaller than a cookie. Now, let's talk about grading for a second. The Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS, grades coins on a 70-point scale. The highest known graded Everglades error coins are MS69 and MS70, that's mint state perfection. If you find a coin with a rare error, perfectly preserved, you're sitting on something most people will never even see. Let me tell you a little story so you know you're not alone if you've ever underestimated a coin. A couple of years ago, I had this old coffee can in my garage stuffed with spare change, the kind you throw your coins in and forget about until you need gas money. One day, I got inspired to roll it up and take it to the bank. As I was sorting through, I noticed a shiny new looking quarter. It was an Everglades design, and it had a weird little doubling on the date. I shrugged it off, thinking, it's probably just damage. Whatever. Well, a week later, I was at a coin shop, and the owner told me that a double die error could be worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands if it was mint state. I about fell over. I rushed home to check my coins, but I'd already cashed them, and I still wake up in a cold sweat sometimes thinking about it. Never ignore something that looks unusual. Take the time to research. Here's exactly what you want to do when you find a 2014 Everglades quarter. It's on the obverse side, under "In God We Trust." That's your first clue. Use a magnifying glass and inspect the lettering and date. If you see a shadow or doubling effect, it could be a double die. If you see copper showing through where it shouldn't, you may have a missing clad layer. If you find anything unusual, don't clean it. Cleaning a coin can reduce the value by 90%. Put it in a protective holder and get it certified by PCGS or NGC. $600,000 for MS69 double die errors. $900,000 for off-center strikes with missing clad layers and a record breaking $1.1 million for a unique combination of an off-center strike and double die, graded MS70. That's life-changing money. You could pay off the mortgage, buy a vacation home, or never work another day in your life. Get it authenticated and graded. Contact a reputable auction house like Heritage Auctions or Stacksbowers. Negotiate a minimum bid. Sit back and watch the bidding war. Don't ever sell a valuable coin on a random online marketplace without expert help. You don't want to get scammed or Undervalue your treasure. You'd be surprised how often folks assume modern coins are worthless, but collectors know rarity and condition can make even a recent coin a millionaire's dream. I'm telling you, that's why I check my change religiously. You never know when your next drive-through quarter could be your retirement plan, and if you've made it this far. You now know more about the 2014 Everglades quarter than 99% of people ever will. To recap of these quarters can be worth over $1 million if they have rare mint errors. Always check for doubling, off-center strikes, and missing clad layers. Never clean your coins, have them professionally graded, and most importantly, don't underestimate any piece of change in your pocket. I hope you enjoyed this deep dive as much as I did, and remember, the next time you're about to dump your change jar at the Coinstar, take a second look. You just might be holding a little piece of American history worth more than your house. If you found this video helpful, entertaining, or just plain surprising, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button right now. I'm here every week bringing you tips, stories, and strategies on how to spot coins worth serious money. Tap the notification bell so you never miss a chance to learn how your spare change can change your life. Hey there, treasure hunters and spare change fanatics. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at the date on a quarter before you tossed it in a vending machine or let it disappear into your couch cushions? Well, you might want to start checking, because the humble 1995 Washington quarter could be worth a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. That's right, the same coin you probably used to buy gum in 1995 could now pay off your mortgage, buy you a brand new pickup truck, or fund your retirement while you sip fancy umbrella drinks on the beach. Today, I'm going to walk you through everything you need to know about this sneaky little millionaire hiding in your pocket. We'll talk about what makes it valuable, how to spot one, why collectors go nuts for it, and how you could cash in and stick around, because by the end, you'll never look at your change the same way again. Let's get a little background on this quarter. The 1995 Washington quarter was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, hence the P Mint mark right there on the obverse, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. Over 1.1 billion were minted. That's right, billion with a B. So why in the world would any of them be worth seven figures? See, a tiny fraction of these coins left the mint with an absolutely flawless strike, called an MS-70 grade by collectors. That means not a scratch, not a ding, no weak details, and no bag marks from all the bouncing around in coin bags. Imagine a quarter so perfect it looks like it was beamed down from outer space. Combine that perfection with rare die varieties, like doubled dies, off-center strikes, or strong repunched mint marks, and you've got the perfect storm of collectability. Some high-grade specimens with these dramatic errors have been auctioned for as much as $1.2 million. Just let that sink in. One quarter. $1.25 in metal and face value, and $1 million in collector insanity. This is the biggest driver of value. The more pristine the coin, the higher the grade. Coins that look like they were just minted yesterday command top dollar. If yours has been through a washing machine or used as a screwdriver, well, it's probably not a contender. When the design was impressed twice, making some letters look like they're vibrating. Also watch for off-center strikes where the coin isn't lined up correctly in the press, or dramatic die cracks. These mistakes can skyrocket the value. Even though tons were made, very few have survived in perfect condition with dramatic errors. That's why collectors go bananas when they find one. If your quarter comes with paperwork from a grading service like PCGS or NGC certifying its grade in error, it's going to be worth much more than one you pull out of a change jar with no documentation. Come on, nobody actually finds these in circulation anymore. Well, let me share a quick story to prove you wrong. Who I promise you is not the kind of guy who'd know the difference between a rare coin and a poker chip, was cleaning out his glove compartment last year. He found a little baggie of coins that had been rattling around in there since the 90s. Mostly nickels and quarters. He almost spent them on a drive-through burger, but something made him stop. He thought, I remember that YouTube guy talking about old quarters, and he decided to check the dates. Sure enough, there was a 1995 quarter in decent shape, with a partial off-center strike. He sent it off to PCGS, and after about 2 months, they confirmed it was a rare mint error in mint state. He didn't get $1.2 million, but he did walk away with a sale $4.18000. And let me tell you, Dave has never bought a burger with a quarter again without checking first. So, if Dave can find one in the junk drawer of his 1992 Buick, so can you use a good light or a magnifying glass? You want to see those fine details. Inspect the date and mint mark. Look for the P mint mark. Check for doubling on the letters, any odd shapes in the numbers, or signs that the coin is off-center. If it has no visible scratches, dings, or wear, you may be onto something special. If you think you've struck gold, contact a reputable coin dealer or grading service to get an official opinion. Seriously. Never clean your coins. That's like washing a Picasso painting with dish soap. It will destroy the value faster than you can say oops. You'd think a millionaire buyer might prefer diamonds or classic cars. But coin collecting is a passion that goes back centuries. These collectors want the best examples of American coinage, the rarest, the most perfect, the most unusual. When a truly remarkable 1995 P quarter comes up for sale, there's often a bidding war between serious collectors and big auction houses. The record sale of $1.2 million happened at a major auction in 2023, when a flawless, certified, error-laden specimen came under the hammer. The incredible story of how an everyday 1995 P Washington quarter can turn into a millionaire-making find. Next time you dump your change into a Coinstar machine or slide it into a parking meter, stop and take a closer look. That quarter could be your golden ticket, and if you're anything like my friend Dave, you might just find yourself holding a piece of history worth enough to change your life. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of rare quarters, hit that subscribe button right now. I post videos every week with more tips, tricks, and stories about coins that could be worth a fortune. Don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss a chance to learn how to turn spare change into big money. Leave me a comment below. Have you ever found a valuable coin in your pocket? I'd love to hear your stories. Thanks for watching, and remember, check your change, because you never know what treasure might be hiding in plain sight. Where we turn your spare change into serious change. You know, the kind that could pay off your mortgage, buy you a beach house in Florida, or at least let you finally buy that riding lawnmower you've been eyeing since 1998. Today, I'm about to tell you a story that sounds almost too wild to be true. Picture this: you're digging through your old jar of coins, maybe the same jar you keep next to the dusty television remote that stopped working back in 2011. And suddenly, you pull out a 2060 South Dakota quarter, but not just any old quarter. No, my friend. This is the rare bird of quarters, the one that collectors would arm wrestle each other for. The one that just sold for a staggering $1.3 million. Yes, you heard that right. $1.3 million. For a coin that probably costs less than a Snickers bar to mint. Stick around, because over the next 40 minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what makes this coin worth more than most people's houses, how you can spot one yourself, and how this little sliver of metal changed my perspective on checking my pockets. First things first, let's talk about what exactly a 2060 South Dakota quarter even is. Back in 2006, the U.S. Mint released the South Dakota State Quarter as part of the 50-state Quarters program. You probably remember collecting these in those blue cardboard maps, trying to find all 50 states before your cousin Timmy did. The coin design is pretty cool. On the reverse, you'll see Mount Rushmore surrounded by a ring-necked pheasant in flight and a few wheat heads. It's got that old-timey Americana vibe that makes you feel like you should be eating a slice of apple pie while driving a pickup truck. Most of these coins are worth, well, a quarter. 25 cents. That's it. You could buy about half a cup of gas with it these days. A tiny fraction of these coins came out with rare minting errors. And one specific error has sent collectors into a frenzy. So why did one of these coins fetch $1.3 million at auction? It wasn't because it was dipped in gold or blessed by the Pope. It's because of something called a double die error. In plain English, this happens when the coin die, the thing that stamps the design onto the metal, hits the coin more than once but just a little out of alignment. It's like when you try to stamp a return address label twice and it ends up looking like you've been drinking boxed wine all afternoon. Collectors go absolutely bananas for this kind of mistake because it's so rare. On the 2060 South Dakota quarter, this double die error makes certain parts of the design, like the word Liberty or the date, look slightly doubled. If you spot this doubling with the naked eye or under a magnifying glass, congratulations, you could be holding a piece of history worth over $1 million. And now, before you start planning your yacht purchase, here's the catch. Condition matters. A coin in what they call mint state, basically, pristine, shiny, and almost untouched, is worth way more than one that looks like it's been used to scratch lottery tickets or pry open a paint can. And the $1 million specimen that sold recently was graded by a professional service as MS68. That's nearly perfect. To give you some perspective, most of the coins jingling in your pocket are probably in the MS50 range, if you're lucky. But don't let that stop you from checking, because even lower grade coins with the right error can still be worth thousands. Look closely at the word Liberty on the obverse, that's the side with Washington's mug. 2006. Make sure it has the little D mint mark, which means it was minted in Denver. Use a magnifying glass to look for doubling on the letters or numbers. You might see it on the word United or on the date. Inspect the edges. Sometimes the error also affects the reeded edge, the little grooves around the rim. If you see anything that looks weird or doubled, put that coin in a soft pouch. Don't clean it. Don't tape it to your forehead. Just keep it safe and get it authenticated by a professional coin grading service. I'll never forget the day I learned just how valuable these things could be. A couple years back, I was helping my dad clean out the garage. You know how it goes, you promise you'll only spend 20 minutes, then 8 hours later you're buried in boxes of old fishing tackle and VHS tapes you can't bear to throw away. Well, buried in an old Folgers coffee can, we found a stack of quarters. I almost tossed them into the Coinstar jar without a second thought. But something told me, maybe it was the caffeine fumes. To take a closer look, sure enough, there was a South Dakota quarter with a strange doubling on the date. My heart started pounding. I thought, this is it. Early retirement. Long story short, mine wasn't quite the jackpot. It ended up being a minor error worth about $150. Still, not bad for a dirty coin sitting in a garage for 15 years. And it taught me that you never really know what you're sitting on. So if you're tempted to ignore that old jar of coins, think again. You could be one glance away from becoming a millionaire. In the last few years, rare error coins have skyrocketed in value. Collectors are paying top dollar, especially as younger generations get into the hobby. The most recent 2006 South Dakota quarter with the coveted double die error sold for $1.3 million in a private auction. Another similar coin, though in slightly lower condition, sold for just under $500,000. And as more collectors compete for these coins, the prices keep climbing. So if you find one, you're sitting on a serious investment. Get it authenticated by PCGS or NGC. Those are the most respected grading services. Cleaning can destroy the value faster than you can say oops. Once graded, listed with a reputable auction house or a trusted rare coin dealer. Be patient. Sometimes waiting a few months can mean thousands more in your pocket. The 2006 South Dakota quarter is part of the 50 state quarters series. Most are worth face value, but the rare double die error can fetch up to $1.3 million. The better shape it's in, the higher the value. Always get professional authentication before you sell, and whatever you do, don't underestimate that old jar of coins. Remember, sometimes the biggest treasures are hiding in plain sight. You don't need to dig for buried pirate gold. You just need to check your pockets and that dusty coffee can in the garage. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more ways to turn spare change into serious cash, do me a favor. Smash that subscribe button so you never miss a tip, and hey, share this video with a friend who still thinks coins are just for vending machines. Who knows, you might help them uncover their own $1 million quarter. Turn spare change into serious cash. Let me ask you something, when was the last time you actually looked at your quarters? I'm not talking about just seeing if they'll buy you a stale gas station burrito. I'm talking about flipping them over, squinting at the tiny details, and wondering, could this little coin be worth a life-changing fortune? Because believe it or not, there's a 2006 North Dakota quarter with a little old P-mint mark sitting innocently on the obverse that could be worth up to $1.4 million today. That's right, $1.4 million. Enough to pay off your mortgage, your ex's mortgage, and still have some left over to buy a vintage muscle car you'll promptly crash into your neighbor's mailbox. Today, we're going to unpack why this unassuming quarter is worth more than most people's cars, how to figure out if yours is the rare one, and how you can sell it for top dollar if you strike it rich. And somewhere in here, I'll even share the embarrassing story of the time I almost spent a rare coin at the vending machine for a Snickers. So grab your coffee, or your beverage of choice, and settle in, because for the next 40 minutes, we're diving into the hidden world of the $1 million quarter. Alright, let's start by getting a lay of the land. The 2006 North Dakota quarter is part of the 50 state quarters program. You probably remember the craze back in the early 2000s. Everyone and their grandmother was collecting these things in little blue folders, hoping someday they'd be valuable. Well, turns out grandma was onto something. First up, you're probably thinking, why would a 2006 quarter be worth more than my entire car? Great question. The value comes down to a combination of rarity, condition, and a little thing called an error strike. Some of these quarters left the Philadelphia Mint with what collectors call a double die error. That means the design was stamped twice in slightly offset positions, causing the letters and images to look shadowed or doubled. It's kind of like the coin had won too many margaritas before going through the press, but not all errors are created equal. The ones that command insane prices, like our famous $1.4 million example, are coins where the doubling is crisp, clear, and obvious even to the naked eye. That's the sweet spot collectors drool over. So here's where you grab your stash of quarters, a magnifying glass, and your best detective impression. First, check the front of the coin, right under the word Liberty. That's where you'll see the little P mint mark, meaning it was minted in Philadelphia. If you've got a D, sorry pal, that's Denver, and while still collectible, it doesn't usually hit the $1 million jackpot. Next, flip the coin over and look closely at the bison. That's the North Dakota state-designed two American bison grazing in front of the rugged Badlands. Look carefully at the legs of the bison and the words North Dakota. If you see any doubling, meaning the letters or outlines appear like they have a ghostly shadow, that's when you start getting excited. I can't tell you how many nights I've sat under a lamp squinting at quarters until my eyes looked like boiled eggs. True story, once, I thought I found a double die. I started jumping around like I won the lottery, only to realize it was just a greasy fingerprint smudged on the coin. My wife walked in right as I was inspecting it under my phone flashlight like some sort of deranged raccoon. That's the glamorous life of a coin hunter. So let's say you think you've hit the jackpot. Next step, grading. Grading is basically an official evaluation of your coin's condition. The scale goes from good, which is pretty much what your couch change looks like, all the way up to mint state, meaning the coin is basically flawless. Coins with a clear double die and a high-grade MS65 or higher are the ones that get the big money at auction. Even lesser grades can fetch thousands, but if you want to hit that $1.4 million valuation, you need a top-grade specimen. You'll need to send your coin to a professional grading service like PCGS or NGC. Yes, it costs money, but trust me, if you're sitting on $1 million quarter, it's the best investment you'll ever make. And now, assuming you've got your coin graded and certified, you might be wondering, where do I offload this treasure trove? Major auction houses like Heritage Auctions, high-end coin dealers, private collectors. Whatever you do, don't just throw it on eBay for a starting bid of 99 cents. You'd be amazed how many people have done exactly that and watched it disappear for a fraction of its true worth. Let's get specific. The last few examples of the 2006 North Dakota double die quarter in top grade have sold for anywhere between $750,000 and $1.4 million, depending on condition and how frenzied the bidders were that day. Yes, you heard that right, $1.4 million. That's enough to buy a beach house, take a year-long vacation, and still have a fat retirement fund. All from a quarter you could have fished out of your laundry pile. I promised I'd share my own close call. So here it is. Years ago, I was fresh into collecting. I was working late one night, hungry as a bear, and the only thing in the building was a sad little vending machine. I was digging through my pocket for change and had this shiny North Dakota quarter. For a split second, I thought, I'll just use this. But something made me pause. Maybe it was the fact that it looked almost brand new. Maybe it was that collector's instinct starting to spark. So I put it back in my wallet and used 2 dimes and a nickel instead. The next morning, I checked it against my guidebook. Turns out, it was a high-grade specimen, later graded MS65. I sold it for a few $1,000s. No, it wasn't the $1 million one, but it paid for a vacation and a year's worth of groceries. And you better believe I never look at quarters the same way again. Never underestimate the value of what's in your pocket. That 2006 North Dakota quarter might look like any other chunk of metal, but with the right error and condition, it could be your ticket to financial freedom. Always check your change, learn to spot doubling errors, invest in a decent magnifier, get your coins graded if they look promising, and whatever you do, don't spend them on a Snickers. That's it for today's deep dive into the $1 million 2006 North Dakota quarter. I hope you enjoyed this little adventure into hidden wealth. If you found this video helpful, or if you just like the idea of turning spare change into serious money, hit that subscribe button and tap the bell icon. I've got more guides, tips, and hilarious stories about valuable coins coming your way every week.